Okay, I'm starting the recording, and I'm sorry I did not record the banter before the writing because that was glorious. Ginny's going to Portugal tomorrow on Experience Plus. We discovered that we are Pooter Impalas. Three of us, Ginny, Sean, and Dana, went to the same high school. And Lacey, Paul, and Tina just witnessed that and felt wonderful witnessing it. It was quite funny and wonderful. If you're watching this recording, I would encourage you to stop watching it and write for about 15 minutes on this question that we're going to talk about. What do you want to celebrate from our time together, and what do you want to bring forward from our time together? If there is any words of kindness you have for yourself or other people or the group, you might want to share those as well. And this is your final warning to stop the recording and get out your journal, start writing. And thanks for being here, Julian. If you ever watch this or any future version of ourselves, it's good to see a future version of anyone that's watching this. I now turn it over to the real-time portion of our time travelers welcome. The real-time portion of our portion here. Would anyone like to share what came up for them in their pages?
I can share. Mine is really short, but heartfelt. I read an article about in the Washington Post about post-pandemic changes. Where are we? I'll put it in the chat. It was good. Some depressing bits as well. But it really made me think about how time has passed so fast. Years have passed, and this course I felt like flew by really quickly, and just have been circling on that thought of time passing, but it's not feeling like it's passing, and how I'm a different person, but I'm living in the same place, I like it because it reminds me that I can change. I don't need the place to change. I can change in place. And just made me think that study, here, I'll just look at my notes, that I love study that refines me. It makes it much more than study, the feeling like I currently feel like I'm closer to the sort of future self that I want to be. Sorry, reading and talking at the same time is great. I'll just talk instead. But yes, this course has helped me to feel like I'm moving closer to the person I want to be. And also I can look around my apartment. I can look around my little office study area here and see little micro changes that I've made to it. And every change I've made has been like a different version of myself, a little forward. So when I look at old pictures or when I think about where things used to be, it kind of reminds me that I'm changing, but I'm in the same place, and it's kind of cool. So grateful.
Words of kindness for Lacey? I've got
All
one.
of them.
All of them. Yeah, I had my thanks for you as for her artistic and humorous enthusiasm for being here. I like that your enthusiasm is artistic and your art is enthusiastic. So thank you for your artistic enthusiasm, Lacey, and your sense of humor.
And I've been wanting to ask since day one, did you paint the picture that is your picture that we see?
I didn't. I actually have a friend who painted it. I used to use this clip art photo as my icon, as a social media icon. And a friend, while we were having a conversation, she painted this picture of the icon, and she like updated it and sent me updates as she was painting it. And then at the end, she actually sent it to me. She's Canadian. So this is a friend that I made during COVID. And yeah, we had a whole conversation while she was making this painting. of the icon that I had. It was this clip art photo that I found. So it was just this beautiful moment. And I thought, that's it. That's it. And I've used it ever since. I need to stop using it. I will eventually, but I love that she not only made it, but then from Northeastern Canada, sent me during COVID too. So it took a long time to get here, the actual piece. And I'm still waiting to get it framed and, properly framed and matted and put it on my wall, because it was this moment.
Well, and now it's become our moment because, right, it's what I associate with you, is what I know. And yeah, and it's beautiful.
Oh, glad to share it. For me, it represents great discussion, great conversation, the greatest stuff.
Lacey, you're starting to feel like an old friend, and we were so happy to see that you're in the group with us again. And there's just, everything both of those guys just said. And I would just add that even though I can't see your face, which I totally respect, the sort of, you're taking care of yourself, doing what you need to do to show up, and owning being neurodivergent and all that. It's just really a great model for how we should all be about our various idiosyncrasies and stuff. But you're also highly relational. I think you listen well, you connect with us, with who we are as individuals, and I can feel you're being connected. I don't know what your experience is, but I feel like I've gotten to know you, and that, I appreciate you tremendously. And I would kill to see your art. I want to see your art even more than I want to see your face.
Me too, like a lot more.
I'll third that.
One day.
Hopefully, it's definitely on the agenda. And so grateful. And I feel like you and Tina, I wish I could adopt you like a cousin or something, just because with family, it's you get to see the person, or you can just reach out. So grateful to be connected.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you are part of the family here. And actually you remind me of my aunt who lived in a cabin in the mountains all her life. And we had to bring her back down. So someday maybe we'll bring you back down from your little mountain and talk to you.
And actually meet in person. So she wasn't, I think Tina said this, she made saddles with her Tina's grandfather, and was quite the artist.
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
I love your input. I love how honest you are. And I mean, I would never be brave enough to come and say this coffee cup is going to be my face, and I'm not going to, do that. I mean, I love it. And it's just, I love that you are brave enough to be yourself, know who you are, and share that with us. And I can imagine your art reflects all of that you do. It's really been a joy for me.
Your aunt is looking for a roommate in the future. Just keep me in mind.
I haven't. She died. But yeah, okay. We'll meet there eventually.
I always wish she could have drawn or did something with the people she was hallucinating when she was walking around in dementia around the mountains and getting lost. So I know whatever she saw was rich. But yeah, thanks, Lacey.
And I think, Lacey, you have the best emoji game I have ever experienced on Zoom. But also, in all seriousness, I do appreciate all of your insights. And I think what's most exciting is that you're on the verge of finding this thing, and you've been searching and refining and on this journey. And what I love about it is that you want to be on the journey. You want to find the thing, but finding the thing isn't going to stop you from continuing your growth and expansion. And I'm just really excited for you. And I think it's really cool that what you shared is that you're seeing your evolution in the place that you are. So you have this grounding center to you, and you're still searching and circling for what makes that complete. And I'm just really excited about it. And I have enjoyed our time together and your perspective and sharing. So thank you.
Which reminds me also, Lacey, there's a replay on Clubhouse from last Sunday called How Much Fun? And in that conversation, someone was talking about neurodivergence and said that that boredom is like kryptonite for people on the spectrum or of ADHD. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it reminded me of our last conversation of like how like as soon as you know what you're doing, it's like it's no longer interesting. Or if you get bored, it's just like game over. But if you're excited and interested, I just love that you said that, Dana. And man, this group is so freaking kind. How great. So it reminded me of that. All right, let's give it up for Lacey. I agree. Stellar emoji game. Stellar comment game too. Make me laugh a lot here. And, you know, SBs on tombstones. You never know what's going to stick with you. But sometimes it's not what you want. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else feel called to go next?
I'll pick up on that evolution theme a little bit. So I've been going back through my pages, which is always great because you never really like it's so much more than I thought, right?
Yes.
Like when you bite these things off in little bits, it really adds up.
Yes.
And it's great to do that exercise and see it. So I am super grateful, and that is something I want to hang on to. And I think that is perspective, right? When you,
Yes.
it happens in work, it happens in life. Hopefully it happens in a positive sense when you're like, oh, wow, we actually did a lot, or we actually made a lot of progress, or I actually did, whatever it is, like that is nice perspective to look at in that sense. And so that's one sort of arena of perspective that I appreciate. I also, to your question, is perspective important? I think it's hugely important. And it's been important for me in my professional career as well, to be able to remain really anchored when other people aren't. And maintaining that perspective of taking a person where they're at in the moment and not being reactive to it, because I can maintain some perspective and being anchored in that. And so again, I think this is something that, I just like going back through our categories from, purpose and synchronicity and ending with perspective is just spot on. I'll also share, right? Like I'm just kind of an introvert there, I don't want to say I don't do a lot of things. I obviously do a lot of things. I don't do a lot of things like this. I used to teach work in like an outdoor ed group arena, and always the moment, like when the bus was expected to arrive with all the participants, I would secretly hope that somehow it would get canceled and it wouldn't happen, which is sort of this terrible thing, because obviously that never happened. They always showed up. We always did our thing, and it was amazing. And I met incredible people, and I learned from them, and they took things away, and it was great. But there's always this anxious moment. And it was the same with this class, right? Like, oh God, I signed up a year ago. What was I thinking? I'm going to do this. I don't know anyone in this class. Like, what is it again? could I cancel? Like, and then, just finding again, like the anchoredness to be like, I said I was going to do this. There must be something to it. I was thinking something at the time, I'm going to do it. And then again, like, right, it's nothing but outstanding in having this opportunity to meet new people, to, and I won't speak for everyone, but for me to sort of normalize the journey that as humans we are on. And that for me, it's just a great reminder, and it's nice again, right, to normalize that in this sort of safe and thought-provoking setting. What I'm taking forward, because again, right, Sean, you provided so many resources, it's just so much context and citing and all of the things, right? I mean, it's more than a semester course, it's 100% more than 7 weeks. And so what I'm taking forward, right, is this resource and wealth of prompts and reading and resource to continue, a page, a 2-page a day process to then look back on, which I'm very excited about, right? You just sort of start the habit, and what I hope to take forward is continuing that habit. That's it.
I love your reflections on the course itself and how you described that. And it feels really good to hear that, because I sometimes downplay some of the work that I did to create this in my head. And it is, I think, having someone with your experience and your intelligence see some of those things and like say that ending with perspective is spot on feels really good to me, beyond the other things I want to say. So, but I just had to say that now because it makes me feel good. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I'll jump in here.
Yes, thank you. Kind words for Ginny. Thanks, Lacey.
Just want to say you're amazing. You're amazing. I don't even know you, and you're amazing. I feel like I'm still getting to know you, but you just have a presence that's so welcoming and respectful and kind. And so I don't know the right word for it, but it's like you've got an even emotional keel to you. So it feels very safe and very approachable. And I was really surprised when you said you don't do this, because you seem like a natural, kind of like the sort of people who are in webinars or panels speaking on a topic. You have a very clear, very easy to listen to presence. And I'm surprised you don't do this more, because you're great. You're great at it. And also very easy to listen to. Again, like, you enunciate really well. The volume's great. I mean, all the stuff. I think you should do this more often, or maybe be on a panel where you're talking about certain subjects that you're really into, because you have a really good presence for this, in my opinion. And I have gone to like over 200 webinars, so I know webinar people, and you got it, whatever the it is. It's really well done.
Thank you. And this has been a great intro group to, right? You guys could have blown it for me entirely, but you didn't. No. It was great. Thank you, Lacey.
I feel your honesty and there's just a real a realness when you're speaking, that it's honest. I feel like you're honest about yourself. You're honest with us. I also see you as really humble, which is really sweet, because obviously you're extremely intelligent. But it's just been a delight for me to be in the group with you. I feel like, I know this because I've missed a lot, but I feel like you could be an old friend. I could just sit down. I mean, I would love to just have tea with you, or coffee or whatever you drink. But yeah, it's just very easy to talk to you. I don't ever get afraid that you're gonna not like something I've said or whatever. It's just very nice. I really appreciate your being in this group.
Thank you. And where are you guys? You're in New Mexico. I would definitely come and have coffee.
Oh, definitely. You are definitely invited. The whole group is invited. I know Lacey may have to put a bag on her head, but
You could come, you could come and not identify, you could just hang out.
Make the bag pictures of your art. Like,
Yeah,
just like a big.
4 sides with the coffee cup.
That's
You're
right.
having a great idea.
You
So
could
Jen-
that'd be a really good YouTube series of like, I've been living on webinars for the past 2 years, and now I'm finally coming out of the world, and just get like a videographer friend to videotape you bumping into stuff with this box on your face, and it might be a really funny video. I actually know a videographer in town. His
I
name's
see.
Chad. You would love him.
Lacey, the TikTok sensation. So-
I like it.
So Jenny, I wanted to sort of second what everybody else has been saying, but the word that kept coming to me along with humility and wisdom and is a couple other words, openness and open-handedness. And I think that's what you were sort of saying. Your takeaway is, in a way, is like being open to like, oh, wow, actually, like I thought, like, you got some story you're ruminating on about what's going on or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're open, you're looking for that change of perspective and you're open for it. And I just love that. And then you're just so freaking articulate in a really easy way. And everybody's talking about that. So who was it? Was it Tina? Yeah, I guess it was Tina talking about, oh no, it was Lacey talking about webinars and all that. I thought about radio. But I could midnight, the midnight, for my fantasy, it'd be sort of like vinyl, with Ginny,
Hey, how are you with the 80s genre? I could pull that one.
Are you kidding me? Thomas Dolby. Anyway, yeah, there's tons of talking heads. That'd be a great one. Love 80s.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you also do seem like somebody, everybody does, that it'd be real easy to be friends with. And I do feel like, well, I'll talk about that later, about the group, but yeah. So glad you came. And it does pay to have people who prefer introversion, like Tina, you, I don't know who else. And because there's something like, when you're in a room and people like me are blabbing, and then all of a sudden somebody hasn't said anything. When they speak, it's like, oh, that was like in 3 sentences, had so much more gravitas than anything I just said, because there's something about how people who are more quiet can really pay attention in a way that those of us who aren't can't or don't. But anyway, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jenny, I'm inspired by how you consume and contribute in the course, that you can tell that you're engaged with the prompts and with the material, and that you're synthesizing it, and you show up and bring your perspective. And I'm just inspired by how you have used the class, I guess. And I think it's really inspiring too, that I feel that I'm introverted too, and I know what you mean when you're like, oh, I wish that bus just wouldn't show up and we can all go. and like, I don't know what this thing is about. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what it's about. Like, and to still show up and then do it with such presence, and like everybody said, how articulate you are, and how present you are in the class is really admirable. So I'm glad that you came.
Thank you. I'm glad I did too.
I wanted to see what I wrote. I'm pretty sure presence was in there. Yep. Ginny for her perspective and presence and questions, walking in the ways of the 9, noting that the whole course has become synchronous. Describing that kind of that quality of being emotional, feel safe, approachable. That's how Nicole described the 9. So great.
I'd almost forgotten our Enneagram conversation. I wonder if I wrote about that. That was good.
That
Good
was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, so I think there's some community there. Okay, great. Awesome. Good job, team. Very well done. Anyone feeling called to go next?
I'll go. I'm gonna show my hide.
Yeah, you are.
Hide your hideaway.
So I don't know
Wow.
if it's gonna show well, but yeah, wait, opposite.
There we go.
So
Wow,
wow.
it's big.
Beautiful.
and then this side. And so yeah, it's kind of soft. There's its tail, its legs.
What are you gonna use it like as a rug or a blanket or on the wall, or what are you thinking?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
Okay.
This one was just the experience of what is all this about? And it's soft, but it's not very supple. So I don't think it could be like it might be able to hang on the back of a couch, but I don't think you can curl up with it. Part of me doesn't want to keep it on the floor because I feel like it's going to get dirty. I was thinking about making a pillow out of it, but I don't want to cut it up. And so I don't know. Right now it just kind of hangs out with me. And it just kind of lays around.
Good. Next use purpose will come to you. You know,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah. So that's my hide. And it's fun. And I like it. And I also so I've gotten really kind of into other things. So I've been doing some hunting of some ptarmigans, and they live above 12,000 feet, and their season is right before they change all the way to white. And so I was able to harvest some ptarmigan that have very beautiful white under feathers, and they still have their mottled brown on the outside. And I made some earrings out of the two tones, and that's been really fun and inspiring. And I don't know, I'm really just kind of enjoying this whole crafting thing of butchering the meat and eating the meat and cooking and using new recipes, and then figuring out what to do with the rest of the animal and repurposing it. And so that's been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks. But anyway, that's just show and tell for me. That's not what I wrote about. But I think just some gratitude for the group. I don't know exactly what it is about this and what it is maybe Sean's curation, but it is very unique to be in a group of people that are so authentic and deep and genuine, and to be able to hop on Zoom with a bunch of different strangers and have such a profound takeaway week after week. And I don't find that in my everyday life. Like, I interact with people all the time, but it's not like anything like this group. And so I just really appreciate everybody's authenticity and just the willingness to be open and have these like deep conversations about some pretty personal things and share your perspective openly. So that's for everybody. And it's just really special. And then I think the biggest thing I want to take away is we've talked about the idea of put yourself in an environment where beautiful things happen or art happens, where you're not trying to necessarily produce it, but you're in a space that you can't help but produce. And I've really felt that this time around with all these different crafty animal crafts and just different things. I have a lighter perspective taking the class week to week. I'm more thoughtful about, what does it mean to have a good life? What does it mean to work? What does it mean to play? What does it mean to rest? Is that what you want to be doing? Like, is there a different way to think about this? And I just want to take away that feeling and kind of inspiration that I don't have a goal to create anything, but I'm creating stuff because I feel like it. So that is what I wrote about.
You know, Dana, you just demonstrated it again, your joy in creating and experimenting and in various things you do, including ski patrol. And I don't know how much you really enjoy it, but I would assume you do from the way you talk about it. But just the joy you're experiencing in this season of playing with harvesting animals and repurposing things and creating things and thinking outside the box and just doing it because it's fun. You don't need to have a purpose for your the skin and so the hide. And so, it's really inspiring and your joy is infectious. So I'm sure that those around you get to benefit from that. And we certainly have. So I am so glad we got to meet. And I'm excited to see if there's a way that we all end up following up at some point, seeing what else you make.
Thank you.
Are you familiar with the make movement?
No.
Education. So about 5 years ago, there's a magazine. I don't know if it's still around. And we took that on at our private school for a theme. And every grade 6 through 12 focused for like weeks on doing nothing, not learning, not academics, but just making stuff with their hands. And it was transformative. It was like, oh, wow, this is an interesting way to approach education. So I just thought that's cool that you're kind of in that ilk, you're of that ilk.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Just
Thank-
the make, like MAKE, make.
Yeah, there was a magazine. I don't know about now. I've lost touch, but it was really. And then we brought in people to teach people everything from changing a tire to, murals and whatever.
Cool.
Make something with your hands instead of just sitting around doing equations and writing papers and stuff.
That sounds fabulous.
Yeah, you'd be great, I would imagine, at teaching people in the field. I don't. Do you do any outdoor ed?
I help teach ski patrol, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like my imposter syndrome kind of gets in the way of that. So
I love that you are, like, you're saying yes to the experience, whether it's outside. And I just recalled, like, obviously you survived last week when you were heading out into cold and snow, and I forgot to ask, but that's great. But yes to not only that experience, but to this kind of experience, and to just attempting again to the making thing, right? Just making like, oh, these feathers are pretty. Let's see what we can do. I love this. See what happens. And I asked this sort of more of a question, and it's also reflective of me, right? I think we have some similarities. But how to pull some of this type of conversation and the prompts into our relationships or friendships outside of this group. Because I'm trying a little of that, right? And it's interesting. And so I guess I either wonder or I encourage you to do the same, or both. Not
Yeah.
or and.
I appreciate that. And I would love to also kind of hear at maybe some point, everybody's like, how do you do that? How do you have those conversations? And because as an aside, my sister got married this year, and she went on like a whole wedding tour of, like, instead of inviting people to her wedding, she went to them. And it was kind of cool, but I went to like 5 out of the 12 events. And I don't know how many people I had these like small talk sort of, like I wanted, and at the end of it, and being introverted too, I was like, I just don't even want to go. I can't do this. I'm exhausted. I don't. And then part of me was like, I would like to ask people interesting questions like, what's your definition of a good life? Or what are you working on that's not work? Or what are you passionate about right now? And sometimes I feel like maybe my delivery is not right because people are like, oh, like, I don't know.
hate
And,
with
so maybe I'm like too direct with like, so anyway, yeah, work is fine, but like, what are you passionate about? And so I would yeah, so it becomes yeah, it just is weird. So I think that that would be kind of like a fun, you know, like a conversation card deck or something, or just tips of how you bring this sort of authentic conversation that's a lot more meaningful and thought provoking than like, what have you been up to? So I'd love to hear how you're
I
doing.
won't pretend that I can do that with like strangers in a small talk setting at all.
But
Yeah.
what a cool idea. You know, you could take our fearless leaders approach and say you're writing a book. And so I'm writing a book. Can I ask you some questions to help give me some material? There's an excuse.
That's a great excuse. And half the time I felt after all the small talk, I was like, I should just start making stuff up. And so that I love that, Paul. Yes, I'm writing a book. And I would love your perspective. Like part of me was like, yeah, I'm, you know, I don't know. I wanted to make something up and tell people what I was up to, but I didn't have the heart.
Seriously, that's next level wisdom workshop stuff, Sean, right? Like,
Yeah, no, I've been working on that, and it's interesting in light of this. I am incredibly socially awkward a lot of the time, and I have a very hard time having these kinds of conversations with people in general.
Really?
Really. I mean, you would, it's surprising, right? You would, because it seems like, and I feel like maybe it's not surprising. It's not that surprising. It's kind of surprising to me on the outside of it, but
No.
it's not surprising in a certain way at all either, because I think a lot of things need to be in place for these kind of conversations to happen. And I feel like the last thing that was said, where you basically make something up, where you're like, I'm actually and now I'm going to tell you like a blatant lie that isn't like harmful in any way. It's just incredibly playful. Like I'm designing a tabletop card game actually called Wisdom the Gathering. And I'm curious about whether or not you've played games. Do you like games? And all of a sudden the person's like, who the fuck? What is? So they're destabilized. Now I'm not like there needs to be some kind of a shaking out of what is normally, because we generally don't present ourselves in public. That's one of the things why I feel like these groups work, is that I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking personally, I don't generally feel like I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna mute myself metaphorically.
No, I understand. No, I totally get
Tina's
that.
laughing. Yeah, just
Away. I want to come back. Come back.
Well, I also have something to say to Dana, so I'll jump in while you're muted.
thank you.
I love your sense of humor.
Yeah.
I love your sincerity. Like you just show up as yourself, and it's a quality person. And I know that sounds really simple, but it's not. Like most people can't do that or strive to do that, and you just do it. And it's wonderful. And you're my actual polar opposite, because I feel like everything that you're not afraid of is everything that I'm afraid of. Just like you're just like, oh, I just want to do this thing, so I'm just going to go do the thing. And you do the thing, and you talk about doing the thing. You talk about having experiences for experience's sake. I've never done that in the entirety of my life. There's always been a specific reason, and I've always researched, and I've always planned, and it's always been this like convoluted, like all of the things that you're doing, I've never done. And you just do them with ease and with great humor and with great positivity. And you're great. And I don't know if you know that you're great, because I don't know, I have to say it, because yeah, there's so many things that you do that I really struggle with. And that's powerful to see someone just show up and do something and actually get into the experience. And I pictured you more like what's the adult version of a camp counselor? someone who's, you know, has all these like skill set, and they do a whole bunch of things, and they're not afraid, and they're good natured, and they're doing outdoor. Is there someone who does that? Because you've got that spirit to you, and I think it'd be, you know, but like in a teaching way, not in a counseling people sort of way. I wouldn't want you to be trapped listening to people talk all day long. But yeah, there's something here with the skill set. So yeah.
Well, thank you.
Lisa, that's exactly why I asked you, Dana, if you did outdoor ed, or surely you were a Knowles instructor or something like that, right? Where it's kind of because you have that about you, you know.
Oh, well, thank you. That's, and I guess that's the other kind of fun thing is you guys all probably feel the same way. Well, maybe not. I guess I shouldn't say that, but isn't it kind of fun and interesting and weird when people see you in a totally different way than you don't see yourself?
Yes.
Like, it's kind of weird because you're like, what? I would have never seen myself as I get what you mean, Lacey, like a camp counselor or like an outdoor instructor. Like, but it's kind of a fun, weird, wacky circus mirror that is a different reflection back.
It's like when someone gives you a gift you would never pick out for yourself and you love it and you use it all the time and you're like, I never would have even thought of this.
Yeah. So
Any of you ever hear of Johari's window? It's a, I wish I had it. It's a box. You can look it up, but it's a quadrant, you know, 4 quadrants, a square. And it's like things that we see that other people see in ourselves, things that we see that other people don't see, things that other people see that we can't, and things that I can't see about myself and no one else can either yet.
Oh, wow.
And it's really powerful, I think, that what you just said, Dana. That's like, this kind of group offers that opportunity because nobody knows us from squat, and they just have their experience, and it's like really cool.
I agree. Everything that's been said, like with, you know, that's how I see you too. I just think is really interesting. And I mean, you're so pretty, and you just don't seem like somebody who's going to tan a hide. You know, so it's really wonderful when you find these little, you know, these little diamonds inside people, right? That really create a fire inside of you to do something. It's really nice. I've really enjoyed being with you in the group.
Oh, thanks. Me too.
These notes are fire. Okay, what did I have? Dana for her smiling kindness, experience, laughter, and humor, tanning a deer hide for the fun of it. Yeah, I think I often want to give you the MVP in these groups. Like, again, like just the way that you share and how you share, there's an unassuming, like the person that would least expect to get the most valuable player on the team, but is actually doing this really valuable work on the team. I feel like, and the way you shared in what you shared from the group, the gratitude for the group, and how you shared that about your description about the group, it's just really well said. So also very articulate, and that introvert power. When Paul was saying the qualities of an introvert, I was immediately going to be like, I wonder if Dana would identify as an introvert, because she has that, like, I'll be quiet, and then when I speak, it'll be like, oh shit, why haven't we been making more room for this person to speak the whole time kind of teacher moment. And then right after that, you're like, I'm also an introvert. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, so MVP, and thanks for the smiling kindness.
Thank you.
Anyone else called to go? We might go. Is it okay if we go a little bit over the 90 minutes? I'm feeling pretty energized, and we might need the time.
I'll go. I kept thinking, didn't I already go? I'm just going to say the same thing I've been saying these last many weeks. Even though, because it hasn't changed, which is actually nice. It's like, oh, okay, so maybe it's real. Even though it's been chaotic, our life has been chaotic. We've been in and out of meetings. And I feel a little bit like I audited this versus took it, which is always not what I want to do. At the same time, like I have those thoughts. And so I think, yeah, whatever. I wish I could have done more, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like the whole focus on being in the present moment, which has been focused for quite a while, or I've given lip service. I've acknowledged its value and how hard it is for me to go there. And then I just go around my busy way and keep being in busy mind all the time. So, but like that performance and just in conversations with important people like Tina and this and that, I just, like I said, I just got to this point where I said, I'm laying down my weapons on the ground. And it's like, I'm done trying to weaponize my, now that I'm staying with that metaphor, my obsessive thinking. And because I love thinking about all kinds of things, lyrics, whatever. And there's a place for that. But it also, when it keeps me from being in the moment, and I don't even know what's going on inside me, not really. I can talk a good game, but I can't really, I don't really know. And then all of a sudden I dropped all that. And it was like literally almost like an hour later or something. It felt different. And I was like, wow, I feel a huge freaking relief. And so that has continued, even though things are pretty chaotic. The surgery of our dog and our daughter, and and it's been something I've gone for, really I've wanted forever, and it happened during this group. And I think it's it's a lot of, there's synchronicity with various other people I'm talking to and blah, 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 but meditating and that kind of thing. But I don't know, there's something about that I can easily take for granted about being in this kind of group where, like everybody said, we're strangers. And yet, and it wasn't just this kind of group, it was this group of people, including you, Sean. And it's just like this universality, this sort of like, we're all on a similar journey, and we can all be open with everything. And that ability to be open, and, I don't know, I can't even explain it, but something clicked, and I'm super grateful to all of you and to you, Sean. And it's just to me, it's a love fest. So, even though it's hard to do this at night for various reasons for us, it was well worth it. And yeah, I'm grateful. And I'm grateful that Tina and I can do it together like this, which is, not usually what happens or whatever. It's like, I don't give a shit. This is how I want to do it, or what we wanted to do. And so I appreciate how open everybody's been to that, and generous of spirit. So that's me. Oh, I guess I would add, because I talked about this yesterday with Tina, I got an invitation to help somebody out tomorrow morning with a song. And I thought, okay, no music. Start going into this rigid thing. And then, it's like, wait a minute. It's like, that's not the point. Maybe now I can slowly onboard a new approach, a new perspective on how to do this. And I likely will become obsessive again, and that's okay too. But I'd like to have some choices and some more ways of enjoying it. And I'd like to have the joy that you have with your deer hides and everything, Dana, like the newness of it. It doesn't matter whether it comes out good and all that stuff that we talk about, Sean. But anyway, that's it.
I have to say, Paul, I feel that shift in you from the time that you talked about it. And like you said, from the first time you were in a group, and how impressed I was with the game that you can talk. And this kind of under that game that you're talking, this kind of nervous buzz of like wanting something out of all of these things. Kind of. It's hard to describe, but it's this, I could feel this perceptible shift in you from this. And I also have had a similar kind of experience in this group that I can't point the group as being what did it, but I also feel like the group is instrumental in it. So I would give yourself the room to allow, like, to have that, just like you said, like that shift, that 1 hour, you are like a different person. It's like, wow, I've been wanting this and this is what it feels like. And now I have this baseline, and you can come back to that as like, this is actually what it feels like. I mean, this is giving me goosebumps. It's like, this is like, I have a new baseline here. This is what it feels like to lay down my weapons and to not obsess about this stuff and to still enjoy myself. And now, perfectly, spirit or whatever is bringing you these opportunities to integrate that into new ways, right? Now it's like, oh yeah, how about this? You want to try this? You want to bring like your new approach into this arena? Latina arena? You already done that one. Next you're in like the next arena, right? So it's beautiful to see. And I'll continue that, you know, I wrote your self-deprecation and earnestness in your practice, mindfulness and presence. The earnestness that you bring to your practice as a person is really inspiring to me, and it shows. I mean, you're masterful in these groups for what you do in the group and in the group dynamics. And it's awesome to feel community with someone that is earnest in wanting to be a good human being, and not for dumb reasons, but just because they want it. So good for you, man. I'm glad that that's having a lasting impact. It feels like a transformation to me.
Thank you so much, Sean. And at some point, I'd like to have a sidebar conversation about what the stupid reasons are for being a good person. But that just caught my attention. I probably do have some of those going on. But anyway,
Yeah.
thank you. That meant a lot to me. Thank you.
I appreciate, I mean, again, I haven't done this. And so the fact that you two are on together is like, you know, that's all I've known of the two of you. I think it bleeds a little because I take your little box as we're seeing it, right, as one and incorporating it. I know, and I know you're two very distinct individuals, and yet together, right, there's really something powerful there. Yeah, and when you were describing laying down your weapons, my thought was, oh, I hope you remember that, and you know, can touch it again outside of this time, right? And build that muscle memory, because it's a great thing, and it sounds like something that you're also interested in. Again, it's hard for me. I've loved having both of you and your feedback and the way you present together. And I also will try to separate as well, but there's strong energy there. So it's hard to do. That's what I'll say.
Thank you.
I'll jump in here. Paul, I think you're amazing. I think you're amazing. You are a true creative, a true artist, and I feel like I'm better for having experienced conversation with you. It helps me to go further. The way you make connections, I especially love. I'm like, I want you in my friend group for life. Because having conversations with you, you can pull out pieces that I couldn't see. You can pull out connections that I couldn't find. And also you present it in such a way that then sparks me to think about things. And then I'm saying something to you, and then you're saying something to me, and I'm saying, it's this whole dynamic. It's as it should be, I think. I've always read things about groups of artists getting together and talking and how that can be so inspiring. But I really haven't really had that experience until now with you. So it's been really great to have that dialogue. And you call yourself an extrovert. I'm an introvert. We're friends. It's awesome. It works for me. Your extroversion when I need to introvert, and also I can totally extrovert in moments, but then I run out of energy. So it helps to have an extrovert there to kind of keep the flow going. So every time you share, there's always something gained for me. So I love it. I think you're great. I think you're the greatest. I think Tina's amazing too. And you're very distinctive personalities. And I love that because then it's like I've got two friends instead of just one friend, which is super cool. And also my friends have loved ones and are happy. So that's good. Also, I wanted to mention sensory detox. I don't know if you're familiar with that, sensory detox, where you go offline for a few days, or you have, 5 days where you're shutting down certain different things. People do that just to kind of reset their neurosystem. You might want to try it. People do it just to kind of spark themselves. And it made me think of what you just said a few moments ago about stepping back and then stepping forward again, and then stepping back again and stepping forward again, and how that could be a really interesting way to kind of build up the ideas and build up the spark of, what really wanting to make music. Kind of like what Jack White said about he refuses to learn the harmonica, even though he really wants to, because he's got to restrict himself in some way. But there is like a passion there that builds up. So by telling yourself, I am not allowed to make music until, X day, it's going to make you crazy, but that's going to build up that energy. And then when you do, it's like, I'm back, and then you could maybe make it into a tradition. Every year you step away for so many, weeks or something, and then all that kind of builds up again, and you're riding the wave as a creative.
Wow. That's stunning feedback, and I really appreciate it. And, I know the feeling's mutual, Lacey, but the specific things you talked about mean a lot to me. And the last thing you said is super hopeful, and I'm setting my sights on that. I hadn't thought about it that way. And I'm glad I didn't, because, okay, I'm going to shut down for a while so I can do it better in a couple of weeks. Wouldn't have accomplished the same thing. But now I think, like finding a way it's like going on a retreat. So thank you.
Exactly. Kind of like a silent retreat, but you just step away from like for me, it would be the internet, which I've had a day away and I felt like I was just going insane. But yeah, there's an energy there that rebuilds. And so I thought maybe that'd be something really fun to play with in the future. And maybe Tina can help you to kind of get away from it, or stay away from it. Don't let him do it.
Oh, stay away from the music. I was thinking about the sensory, what is it? Sensory
Detox.
Oh yeah,
detox.
sensory detox. Yeah. It's
Love
definitely like silence, or being away from the internet, or being away from certain things, just restricting and then going back. Or think about it, caffeine. I've had friends do that with caffeine, where they take some time away and then they go back, and the effects are different.
Thank you.
Oh,
This is Jojo.
Penny. Oh, Jojo.
This is the puppy.
Jojo, no.
So
Jojo.
darn cute.
Yeah, she's
Jojo, no.
cute and a little bit high maintenance, but she's really a lover. I mean, it's unbelievable. So thank you guys.
Oh, and I want to jump in, Paul, and just give you some gratitude too. And Lacey said it, like everybody, I have to second what everybody said, just first and foremost. But I love how complex of a thinker you are, and the depth that you go to just really reflect. And I'm inspired by who you are as a person and the way that you live your life. And I agree with Jenny that you and Tina showing up is just this together is this amazing energy. And it's also a very kind of rare and inspiring vision for me of like what a relationship looks like. And maybe that's kind of weird, but there's something that I'm drawn to your guys' dynamic that is is really special. And I think that that's really cool that you guys have each other and that you do these sorts of things together. And I want to see more of your life together. And but yeah, it's inspiring and it's hopeful. And I really appreciate that you guys come as a package deal. So
Thanks so much, Dana. Appreciate it.
I also want a one plus. I'm better because of the conversations I've had with you that Lacey said. I feel that very strongly with you, Paul. I feel a lot pointed in directions I would not be pointed if I had not met you in a few big ways. Turning me on to Yalom's work is like life changing in small ways, maybe big ways that I don't know yet.
You guys have said for Paul, I would say it to you also. And just to remember that you have a lot of gifts and that you also have to rest to use those gifts. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's
Spoken
Yeah.
from a woman who knows.
what does she know about me, huh? So yeah, I'm kidding. No, it's true. It could, even health wise, I could run myself into the ground so easy. So thank you all very much.
Tina, would you like to go or would you like to pass? Did you already? You didn't go, did you?
No.
Okay.
Should have said, see, as an introvert, you should have said, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was brief, but
Okay, I'll go. So this group has been, it didn't change my whole life, but it definitely changed part of my life. And I've been I've been pretty isolated. I think in the last group I said that. And it's been really good to find ways for me to express myself, which I've learned in this from all of you, different things. And just having encouragement to do that, to express myself and to find things that I can do. And because I am alone a lot and I'm introverted, so it doesn't usually bother me, but it's hard sometimes during this time. I've really appreciated this group and every person in it. I've gotten something from and learned something from. And I just appreciate, Sean, that you have that kind of mentality that you could put this together, put these groups together is just wonderful. I hope you never stop doing it because it is so valuable. So valuable. And I really appreciate being able to be here. And especially like as a couple, it's like, oh, nobody's going to ever allow us to do that. And just to be here, and do some of the things that Paul's doing that I can do with him, which is really nice. So I've really, really enjoyed everything here. And it was really sad that we had to miss 2 meetings. It was a big bummer.
it was.
So
That you're back when it counts. And I remember that first conversation that we had about whether or not it was okay if you guys both came in, if you were both like, and I remember how funny that was. Like, I don't know, you tell me. I will it like, and you guys have been so wonderful together. As it's so interesting that a lot of these points of praise have been very synchronous. Everyone's like, yep, what everyone else said pretty much, right? It's like people's kindness is pretty spot on and perceptive. I will say, Tina, you are what Lacey said of Paul, of being a true artist. That's how I see you. I see you as an artist of life, of the spirit. You are thoroughly artistic in the ways that, and I will always remember your saying that you feel like God is smiling on you when you see an insect you've never seen before. That one will stick with me forever because it suggests a kind of attentiveness and is just wonderful, and the depth of appreciation there is so great. I'm going to think of that every time I see a new insect, and I've seen like 4 since you said that, and it's been like I've never seen that bug before, huh? God must be smiling on me, and so is Tina. I wrote Tina for her sweetness. Yes, very sweet. Her honesty and childlike glee at being here. It really helps to have people that really want to be here. And it's not just that you want to be here, it's like glee. So thank you for your glee.
I'll jump in here to say, Tina, I think you're amazing. You're just amazing. I love you. You're amazing. Your heart is what I get. You're obviously creative. I do see you as an artist as well. You just are, but you have so much heart, and you're so moved by things, and you're not desensitized, and you see and you look, and when you share, it's something that really matters to you. So I find myself really listening closely when you talk. Not to say that I'm in a lot of groups. Sometimes I zone out if someone's too loud. But with you, I just really, it's like I lean in, and I always kind of want to peer pressure you to speak more because I want to know what you're thinking, because I know the wheels are turning in there, and I know that you're moved and affected by things. And I think that's such a valuable perception. And I feel like that's so, it's a seed for inspiration. So I also want to know, like, what does she think of this? What is she doing? What is she thinking of that? I want you to talk more because you always have such great perspective and such great heart. And also, I personally think you're an amazing person. And I'm so grateful that I've gotten a chance to spend time with you, because you really do make me feel at ease, and you share so openly and so honestly. And you're just amazing. You're an amazing person.
I'd love to have a cup of coffee with you.
And you don't have to wear a box on your head with your art on the outside of it, but you can.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're so insightful and such a good listener that you're able to be very reassuring without like being placating at all in perspectives or nuances. Yeah, and as Lacey said, it's just a great voice in the group. Yeah, and it when you weren't here, you were missed, both of you. I will share that. And then again, I'll go back and I'll also say more that's already been said. Like, you do sort of role model and present like this great relationship that's like, oh, look at that, that's awesome. So thank you.
It is awesome.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Tina, I love that you are having fun and that you enjoy life and you bring that to the group. And I still haven't seen that spider picture. Did I miss that as an attachment?
In
It's in there. I think it's in the folder, but we didn't end up using the folder. So maybe I'll see if I can send it out.
But I love that. And like everybody said, that that presence in your life is really special, and I appreciate that about you. And then I also think that it's really great and brave that you again also kind of overcome some trepidation of what does it look like to be in a group of new people, and what does it look like to share, and how does that work. And despite all of that, you come and you're yourself, and you bring a lot of joy and fun to the group. And I've really enjoyed our time together.
Well, you guys have made it so easy to just be with you. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's an online group a lot of times. It feels like we're really in each other's lives, and I really love hearing about everybody. And it's just, it feels like, catching up with family in some ways.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about your leather thing. I mean, because my granddad he made saddles out of that, stuff. And so it's just like brings me back home in a way, listening to you. Thank you.
I have so appreciated your eagerness to come, even when it's like it seemed like every week there was something that was going to undo it, and so it's so valuable to you, and your what I get to see here that they don't see is the way you experiment with well, it's just everything you guys were saying about being attentive to detail. Like you'll see things in their dogs are doing or need I would never see. You'll see, I mean, you also end up seeing dirt on the floor that I don't see. So I'm not sure that's a blessing or a curse, but your attention to detail and your love of small things and dead things. So I just want to say this, that at some point,
Not all dead.
well, I'm getting there. So, but I don't know if did we tell you about the animals that she did? So this fullness concert I did
Or
was
wait,
also,
yeah.
did
Okay,
we?
keep going? Go on. Go on. Say it.
Oh, her grandfather's antlers his kills from back in the day. She inherited them and she decorated them and talked and wrote this thing about how it reminded that the killing of these animals was redeemed by how they used the meat and everything you were talking about, Dana. And she just wrote it's beautiful, and how that is sort of like consistent with how God does things, blah, blah, blah. It was just beautiful. And you just love doing that. So
Sweet.
I'm lucky.
Your appreciation of small things and dead things was great. Because I am starting to get tired. I am going to expedite my share and notes of appreciation and say that I think we should try to get together again. I don't have anything else scheduled on these Wednesday nights, and it's going to be nice for me to take a break. But having maybe in a month, see a check-in at the same time, and I'll send an email to see if that works and move forward. And be nice to, continue I've done more writing in the last 7 weeks than I've done in any 7-week chunk since our baby was born. I feel like I've grown more. I've had more insight. I've been more grounded. I've been more inspired. I've gotten some really cool writing done that I haven't looked at. I've gotten reconnected with the sense of the morning pages as just for me, and the sense of guidance and writing down things to get them down. And it's been really inspiring to reconnect. And I had a super powerful experience over the weekend where I felt like I reconnected with my vital life force, and it was joyful and fun and playful, and it was just great. I felt super reverent, but in a really playful way, a really rejuvenating way. And again, like Paul said, I think this group has been an integral part of that. It's not like a solid line, but it's connected to that. And I do think it's hard to say what it is, but I feel I really appreciate all of these notes are awesome. They're really good. They're fun. So I'm going to look forward to sharing these. It's a beautiful email, but I think it makes me feel good seeing all this and how it's structured. I've never done a final meeting quite like this. And just beautiful. It's great. It's like it's a nice continuation of the work we did in the Art of Living Beautifully, and some of those people coming into this and having the composition of this group be the way that it was is really inspiring and beautiful, and it really regrounded my process and the importance of the pages, and like looking back on it and being like, holy shit, like what you said, Ginny and Lacey, like these imperceptible little shifts that when you look back at the process, it's like, wow, this is actually really, so I'm inspired to keep going with what we did and what I did in that process of just being in using the writing practice for just its own sake and not trying to turn it into anything, and showing up and praying and listening and being mindful and just being like, here I am, what wants to be written today, let's go. And kind of taking care of myself in that way, it's been super therapeutic and connected. And so I want to thank everybody. And you all said really nice things about the group, or about my, Sean's curation. Thanks for underscoring that, Ginny. Curation is a strong word for me. And I do think that's part of more of the fun of this moving forward. I've moved from like trying to get people in the workshops, which I was doing in the first year, and doing a lot of work in enrollment and not traditional marketing, but a lot of outreach and communication. And I know I want to do more of that because I feel how awesome these are, but it's more become like an artistic project almost, where it's less about getting more people in and more about getting the right people in, and kind of doing that. Like, so if you have an idea of someone that would be a good fit, or it's like a creative incubator as a creative act, any of those things. And I am going to obviously I want to move more towards moving towards a membership kind of model, where there's multiple opportunities for people to get together in different formats with different group leaders under different focuses. So there's different affinity groups. We have one with facilitation on Tuesday nights, and writing ones on Wednesday nights, creativity ones maybe on Tuesday days, so people could kind of choose what groups they want to be in and kind of have more of an ecosystem of wisdom development. And yeah, I have the wisdom workshop card deck is on its way. I actually have it linked with tarot, and there's some cool stuff in there, and the forces. It's part of my Wisdom the Gathering tabletop game. So yeah, and I really like this question of how we can pull this conversation with people outside of this group. I think I feel like there's the first step is to be really curious about whether people are open to it, and to kind of destabilize the normal, to just be like, because not everybody wants to have these conversations, right? It's kind of like, and I think it's really important not to have a judgment call on that. But I think it's also, a lot of people do want to have these conversations. I think more people want to have important conversations than not. And maybe it's not like, so what do you think happens when we die? That's the one I've used before, because people are like, wait, what? I'm like, oh, I'm into philosophy, so I like think about these things. I'm just curious, like, what do you think? That kind of like, you get a sense. That's an interesting one to use. I think free will is another one that's like, do you think we have free will? How free are we? It's another one that's kind of like softball of like the biggest possible question you could ask. But people have thought about that one, and they have something to say about it.
You see the Stanford scientist or philosopher that
Sapolsky.
Yeah. Oh, is that who it was?
I don't know. Actually, go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
Maybe it is. No, this is somebody who just today, I saw the news on Apple News or whatever, that he discovered that we don't have free will.
This guy Sapolsky's really good. He's basically,
Sapolsky?
I don't know.
Oh, he might be. Anyway.
He's been on like We Don't Have Free Will tour.
Yeah.
He's been saying it for a while, but he's been doing it. And I mean, he's in biology, and
right.
It's pretty compelling.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. I don't think it's depressing. I think it's empowering. But anyway, I'm very Spinoza in this sense. I'm a pantheist. Okay. So anyway, I think the other I think it's creative. I'd be interested in doing that. I think that's a really good question to keep alive. How do we do this kind of work and or bring other people in? And I would definitely take any help that, and in the form of conversation as well. I love
Yeah.
this.
How do we
So I'm done.
incorporate it into our daily lives? I know. I have to go pack. I want to say, Sean, thank you so much. Totally appreciate you. You set, again, you just provide such an incredible space and groundwork and resource, and it's like putting, I don't know how I'm going to say it. I want to say like shotgun with all the different things, but it's not totally shotgun. Like it's fairly targeted also. So it's, it's all the things. And I just really, really appreciate it. I would love to meet again and go Impalas.
Go Impalas. Enjoy the trip to Portugal. Enjoy Experience Plus. You picked a good company to go with. They're great people. And thank you, Ginny, for being here. I appreciate the support, and I'm glad you got so much out of it. And
Absolutely. Look forward to hearing from people, and just absolutely lovely to meet you all. Thank you.
bye, Ginny. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jenny.
Fairly well. We'll see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Sean. You're amazing.
You're
You are
very welcome.
Thank
checking
you.
it. Thank you so much.
Talk soon.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll see you all. Bye.
Bye.